Despite the challenges of today's investment market, Cbus was able to provide one of its strongest financial year returns. With us here today is Trish Donohue, Cbus's Executive Manager, Investment Management, to talk us through this. Trish, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Emily.
It's been a good year for Cbus. How much money is the fund managing?
So Cbus has had a year of really strong growth, and we're now managing around $23 billion in funds under management. That's allowed us to invest in some really interesting opportunities, and one of those was some ports in New South Wales, so Port Kembla and Port Botany.
And how has it performed over the last financial year?
Well, we've had a really strong return over the last year, and for members in our growth option, which represents about 90% of where our members invest, we achieved a return of 16.15%. And that return puts us in the top 25% of super fund performance for the year.
Even more importantly, how has the fund performed over the longer term?
Well, the longer term is really what makes a difference for our members for their retirement. Since inception, which was 1984, the fund has achieved a return on average of over 9% a year.
Why was the return so high for the 2013 financial year?
So the return for the financial year was really assisted by the strong returns in share markets, both in Australia and globally. So the global share market in particular achieved a return of over 30% for the year. And the Cbus growth option has around 20% invested in those markets. In Australia, the return on the Australian share market was over 20%. And about a third of our portfolio is invested in Australian shares.
So has the investment strategy changed over the year?
We continue to look for where we're best placed to put members' money. Over the year, we actually did moderately reduce our allocation to Australian shares, particularly as we saw that market increase. So we took some of the exposure to the market down.
And Trish, what can members expect looking forward?
Well, looking forward, we expect moderate returns to continue. However, there is some uncertainty out there in the global economy, particularly in Europe, and also the impact that a slowdown in China might have on the Australian markets. However, the growth strategy remains very well diversified, and in particular, we get a lot of downside risk protection from our significant allocations to infrastructure and property.
Thanks, Trish, for joining us.
Thank you, Emily.
Cbus Property is the wholly owned subsidiary of Cbus Super. Cbus Property has been around now for 7 years and continues to produce strong investment returns for Cbus members. It also plays a vital role in the creation of jobs in construction and building, creating over 51,000 direct jobs since it began in 2005. Joining us now is Andrew Pitchford, who project manages the latest development announced by Cbus Property. Andrew, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Can you tell us about the latest development Cbus Property has announced?
Yes, well, we're very excited to announce that we've commenced a project over in Adelaide, the first one we've done in South Australia. It's a 14-storey, 21,000 square metre office building right in the heart of the city. It's going to be 5-star Green Star, and we've already leased 71% of the building prior to commencement of construction, so a great start to the building.
When is Cbus Property looking to commence the project, and how many jobs will this project create?
Well, demolition's commenced already. That'll take about 8 to 10 weeks, and construction will then start early November. We've got about 750 new job opportunities which will be created for the site. Hanson Young and the builders, and they're well underway commencing their activities. So very exciting for us.
Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
My pleasure.
Also underway is Cbus Property's 40-storey development at 1 William Street, Brisbane. Joining us now is Cbus Property's General Manager, Development, Chris Kakoufas. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Can you bring us up to date with the development?
So we've started works from first thing in the new year, and Brookville Multiplex started the archaeological survey straight away, and since then we've been doing the bulk earthworks and the retention, so those two have been going hand in hand. The next few tasks to undertake are going to be to continue the bulk excavation, and there are probably another month or so of that. And we're getting ready for the first tower crane. The first tower crane should be getting ready for erection later in the month, early in the new month in September. And the core for the raft for the core will be constructed more or less at the same time as well.
This is one of the largest developments undertaken by Cbus Property. Can you take us through a snapshot of the project?
The building is 75,000 square metres of office space, and with an additional 1,000 square metres of retail space, and that will be predominantly food and associated services. The government is committing to 75,000 square metres, so all of the office space, and will be responsible for leasing up the balance of the retail space. And most importantly though, for us, the project's going to create about 1,000 jobs a year, so all up maybe about 4,000 to 5,000 jobs through the life of the project.
Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Thank you.